Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and a very warm welcome to Attenborough Arts Centre here at the University of Leicester. My name is Andrew Fletcher, and I'm the Director of Attenborough Arts Centre. And it's fantastic to see so many of our partner teachers, schools, artists, cultural organisations and education establishments from across the country here today. So thank you so much for being here. You're all most welcome. Our mission at Attenborough Arts Centre is to make culture and creativity accessible for all. We do this by removing barriers to access, particularly through the lenses of anti-ableism and anti-racism, which enable us to see how exclusive practices can be unwittingly perpetuated. Working collaboratively, we then break down and remove these barriers to improve and increase access for everyone. This is reflected in the work of the SENsory Atelier programme, which Attenborough Arts Centre created in 2016 to give disabled children and young people opportunities to engage with culture and through creativity help lead their own learning pathways. SENsory Atelier is our flagship learning programme here at Attenborough Arts Centre and is only possible through the support of Paul Hamlyn Foundation, which has funded the programme over the last 8 years. Their visionary support has taken a chance on our practice as research concept and enabled us to grow the programme to where it is today. We're also immensely proud to be an Arts Council England's national portfolio organisation, receiving vital public funding to create the highest quality artistic experiences as well as opportunities to participate. We are also incredibly grateful to receive core funding from the University of Leicester, which enables us to deliver all that we do. And the combined investment from the University and Arts Council England has enabled us to extend the scope and influence of the SENsory Atelier programme further still. And now, to tell you a bit more about the University's commitment to culture, I'm delighted to introduce Professor Nishan Kanagaraja, President and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Leicester, to say a few words.
Good morning, can you all hear me?
Yes.
It's lovely to be here this morning. What a wonderful morning. And it's, as Andrew mentioned, it's a real pleasure on behalf of the University to welcome those who are here first time or from outside the University. Great to see you here for an important program today. Before I say a few more words about the University and why I'm committed to this initiative, very briefly, I'm an engineer, and you might think, what do I know about this kind of activity? Actually, I do know a lot about it. So when I was a junior researcher in 1998, 1999, I led a big European project with partners in Sweden, Denmark, UK. And the program was all about, at that time, a new tech device has been developed in Bristol, where I was, called Soundbeam. Have you heard about Soundbeam? So we were basically using Soundbeam, which is basically a gesture-based interface, to allow autistic children to control music, to create painting, all through gestures, because they couldn't do otherwise. It was a fascinating program. I did that for 5 years, and I'm absolutely delighted that University of Leicester is continuing this groundbreaking work through the SENsory Atelier program. And it's great to see the progress that we are making, and obviously, without partners like you, we can't do this. Very briefly, why I think as a university I'm very passionate about this work, is apart from my own interest, is there are four strands, I think, four elements that come together very nicely in this program. Number one is about education. That's what the university is about. We were established in 1921 by the local community to provide hope after the First World War. So we are one of the 2 universities in the world which is a living memorial. So I'm very proud of the fact that we use education as a tool to transform lives, transform communities. And the second thing that is very important for me is about inclusion. And you know, in Leicester, we live in the most plural city in the UK. It is one of the most diverse cities, and I think it is absolutely incumbent on the university to harness that opportunity in everything that we do, in the education, in the research, in the outreach. And clearly, this SENsory Atelier program is another example of how we are using the education, not as an exclusive tool, but also an inclusive tool that transforms everybody in our community. And the third element that is important is the marriage between arts, technology, science, every element coming together. we as a university are committed to every discipline. I know if you read the news at the moment, there are lots of universities going through some challenging times. And one of the areas that often get looked at as a course-cutting measure is the humanities or arts, because they tend to be sometimes difficult to recruit many students in volume. So sometimes it might become an easy target. But I'm absolutely committed to a comprehensive university at Leicester. Because when I want students to come here, I want them to experience the power of humanities, the power of social sciences, and also the technology and the sciences. So it is important that we have all that activity, and this is an example of our commitment to create culture, art, and humanities. And the final element that is important for me is our commitment to outreach. We work with lots of partners in the local area, obviously through our School of Education. We do PGCE, so we work with the local schools. But this is a great example of how we are using the outreach to do something else with some of the schools that may not often get the engagement with the university. So for me, in a nutshell, all of this coming together very nicely in the SENsory Atelier program, and I'm delighted to be here, and I'm absolutely pleased that you're all here showing your commitment, and I'm sure this program will go on from strength to strength. Finally, all I want to do is to thank people who have made this possible. Clearly, I'm grateful that Paul Hamlyn Foundation, Support Arts Council, and all the other partners who have committed their funding to support this program, without which we can't do everything that we do. But that's not the only thing that I'm grateful for. I'm thankful for the individuals who commit the time and effort to make this a success. And Bob and Marianne and Andrew have done a fantastic job, and I'm grateful for the leadership that they provide. But I would encourage you to continue to keep engaged in this program, because the measure of success is not what we are doing today. It's what we're going to do in 5 years' time to change people's lives and the opportunities we can create by what we are doing today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nishan, and good morning, everyone. I'd also like to add a very warm welcome to everyone here this morning. It's fantastic to see so many people here. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I'm really delighted to be here in both my capacity as Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Professional Services at the University, but I think more importantly today as Chair of the Attenborough Arts Centre Advisory Board, a role that's really dear to my heart. Here, we believe that an arts centre should be a meeting place for all our diverse communities, with accessibility and inclusivity are our core values, and that enables everyone to feel welcomed and represented here. Last year, the Attenborough Arts Centre welcomed 97,000 visitors onto our campus, and we achieved over 24,000 engagements in our learning programmes. We have a particular commitment to improving access to arts and culture for disabled people, and have long focused on disability arts. Our inclusive youth arts programme engages the families of disabled children and young people in a person-centred programme of cultural activities outside of school time. We convene the East Midlands Disability Arts Network, and we work in partnership with a variety of third sector organisations to expand the influence of our programmes. We're very proud to present a year-round programme of exhibitions and performances, which include the work of our participants alongside professional artists. And we currently have 2 exhibitions showcasing the SENsory Atelier programme, which I hope you'll have the opportunity to see today. And next year, we are the UK touring partner for Shape's Disability Arts Movement Show, which launched at the world-renowned Venice Biennale last month. But we're here today to reflect on the learnings of the SENsory Atelier and to share with you our findings. In the current phase of the SENsory Atelier between September 2019 and September 2023, the programme has engaged with nearly 2,000 children and young people in formal SEND school settings, and we've delivered over 2,000 hours of activity. The programme has supported the training and development of 605 teachers and support staff, and has helped develop the practice of 230 artists. I'm really delighted that our innovative work here at the Attenborough Arts Centre is also being recognised by our peers. The programme has won the Gold HEIST Award for the Best Widening Participation Initiative in 2023, and also in 2023, the International Falling Wall Science Engagement Award. Wonderful as though these awards are, we're not resting on our laurels. This symposium will launch the Attenborough Arts Centre's SENsory Atelier Code of Practice, which is a guide to how creativity can transform SEND education nationally and internationally. We're bringing educators, artists and policymakers here today and collectively will help shape the future of inclusive arts and education. We really hope you have a fantastic day. We're incredibly proud of our heritage here at the Attenborough Arts Centre, and particularly that Michael Attenborough continues to be our patron, following the founding of the centre by his father, Lord Richard Attenborough, in 1997. We're delighted that Michael can be with us today, and now I'd like to introduce him to say a few words.
If you looked at the DNA of my family and looked at it as a stick of rock and you cut it in the middle, you would find two words almost immediately following each other. One would very obviously be the word education, and the second one would be the word Leicester. My grandfather was appointed as principal of Leicester University College in 1932, and he made it his life's work that we would create a fully fledged university. In 1952, that was accomplished, and he was the first predecessor of Nishans as the first Vice-Chancellor of this university. And there is a huge tower here, by the way, named after him. Fast forward the tape, and we get to a moment when my father was commissioned to write a report on facilities for disabled people in arts institutions. And in the preface to his report, which is 40 years old to this day, he uses the word lamentable and shameful. That is not the case any longer, thank goodness, but it was then. And so he thought there's no point in actually just sitting around moaning about it, we've got to do something. And so he returned, if you like, to his hometown. He said, I'm going to build an art centre specifically for disabled people, probably, I think, one of the first in this country, and here it is. And he raised most of the money himself, and it was very quickly a huge role model for other such institutions. In 2016, through popular support locally, it literally doubled its size. It became 100% bigger. And I remember very well a rather emotional occasion when my Uncle David, who's 98 today, when my Uncle David came up and opened it, and his opening remarks were, ladies and gentlemen, I would give anything not to be standing here, because my father had passed away shortly beforehand. And the astonishing success of this building and everything that it embodies is way beyond, I think, even my father's dreams of what he wanted. He simply wanted to put it there, set the right leadership in place, and let it flourish. And that's exactly what it's done. I should just mention, I can't resist this, I'm afraid, there is a little known member of my family, because he has the name Clegg as opposed to Attenborough. But Sir Alec Clegg was my grandmother's younger brother. And Alec, for anybody who knows anything about education, was Chief Education Officer of West Riding of Yorkshire, and an absolutely visionary educationalist. And his life was celebrated 2 years ago with the publication of a book called Education Through the Arts. Couldn't be more apt than for today. And he was an astonishing man. I'd get in big trouble with Kerry and Nisha and Andrew if I start talking any more about him, because that would take me too long. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to say, I think we're now about to, I hope, engage in a more productive battleground than the battleground we've been involved in for the last 14 years, which this government has inflicted upon us the worst form of cultural vandalism imaginable. We have actually seen the Department of Education issue statements saying, don't have your students study art subjects. Guide them away. There's no future in the arts. There's no future. You won't get a career. Incidentally, complete nonsense. There is tons of employment within the arts sector. But the dismantling of arts departments in universities, the closing of courses, the shedding of teachers has resulted in a real impoverishment of our arts sector. And I speak very personally as somebody who's worked for 50 years in the arts myself and watched subsidy for the arts shrink and shrink to the point of starvation. And it's in parallel, the shrinkage of facilities, creativity, innovation for young people generally is reflected in the same form. The closure of youth clubs, decimation of communities, the loss of any sense of community involvement for kids who are growing up at 15, 16, 17 years old. This is, in my view, a scandal, and it's made the job of the Arts Council and for local councils incredibly difficult because the funds that have been provided to them have been so pusillanimous. I don't want to go any longer, except to say that what has guided my life and what guided the life of my father was a belief that our sense of ourselves through the arts cannot be underestimated. And that what the arts do is they address what I think of as the invisible part of the national health. It's the bit we can't see, the bit we can't add up, the bit we can't quantify. The psychological, the emotional, the spiritual parts of ourselves. And thank goodness now, in this day and age, we are beginning actually to be allowed to use the terms mental health. They look after our mental health. And they look after it in a very, very concrete way. They address ourselves. We just, the mirror, we holds the mirror up to nature, as Shakespeare put it. We cannot do without that, and young people in particular can't do it. And I will finally wind up by saying, I think the opportunity and the right of access for people to the arts is a fundamental human right. It's a human right. It's not just there because somebody decides, oh, you know, it's sunny today, we'll let them have a bit of nice time with the arts. No, it's absolutely fundamental. And to deny people that access is to deny them a fundamental human right. And that applies to all sectors of our society. And I would argue, which actually my darling Uncle Alec said, was that actually you measure the civilized nature of our society not by how we look after the most successful, but how we look after the least able. That's how we judge ourselves. And here we are gathered to look after people who struggle with ableism, who struggle with having those crucial abilities. And this program addresses that head on in the most staggeringly imaginative, creative, innovative, powerful methods. And I know that my dad, I hope he, with his old man, is looking down from somewhere, feeling incredibly proud of this building and everything that these three people you've just heard speak are doing, because their leadership is unequaled. Thank you so much.